K1ZJH from NG7M. Hey Pete, it's Max here, and as promised, the video here. I think this will help you a lot. I got everything. I hadn't used the amp since August, and put it all together. I mean, it's kind of a messy setup, but we'll do a nice little demo here, and I'll go through the settings and the mods and everything, so that should help you out. Now, I've been using it with a K3, so all the cabling as far as the cable output is set up for a K3. So let me just kind of go through this. So we've got a K3 here. I just have a keyer hooked up to the keyer in the K3. We're going to power up the K3. And so the cable going to the ALS-1300 is right here. For a K3, it's a high density 15-pin cable, and it actually has the key output built in, and ELC output in too, but I don't think you need to use ALC. Sounds like you're pretty comfortable. ALC is kind of a mess, it seems like, depending on the rig, and especially for a K3, they're not really designed to control ALC on an amplifier externally. Anyway, so this cable going out, you might be able to reuse it if you're gonna, make it fancy and hook everything up. But there's band data going out from the K3, so I'm gonna hook it back up to the K3, and so the band data goes out, so it'll automatically switch the bands on the amplifier, of course. But I also have, I don't know if you can see this, I have a key loop here coming out of the K3, so you could loop in like an LP700 or some device that would break the keying in the event there was high SWR. So there's a loop here, and I just have it connected up. So you got key out, and then you see what I'm saying? I've got it connected, so then it goes all the way back to the amp through this cable on the front. And so this is kind of weird on the ARI 500. The cable to control the amplifier goes in the front. So this cable right here is what's going back here. So the band data is coming from out of the K3 into the front of the ARI 500. You can see when I did the mods there, I did those in December of 2016, the 85X mod. You could Google that up. I exchanged some emails with him too. So so that's the connection from the K3, and it's actually going to key the amplifier through this cable. Or of course, you've got the key input on the back and ALC input on the back of the amplifier too. Anyway, it's just a temporary setup here. So I've got the input. I've got things labeled really clear here. I made up labels. So you got the input coming in from the K3, is this RG 8X stuff here coming in, and then the band data comes in from the back of the ARI 500, and so you've got a B and an A cable to control the band data, the amp right from the remote. And so B for black, A for not black. So that's how those cables are going to go on. And that's just a cable, so right here, and that goes right into the back of the amp, if you can see this. So you've got A and B right here, the back of the amp for that remote. And again, B for black. And then the power supply connector here, because it takes 50 volts on each RF deck, comes in. And let me go over the mods on the ARI 500. I'm just making this up as I go. So the original ARI 500 had a standby, an operate, and I'll power it all up and I can show you. But you couldn't reset the amp if there was a fault. You had to power the amp off and on. But with this mod, you can reset the amp by taking it out of operate and putting it in a standby. I don't plan on faulting the amplifier in the demo here, which was really nice. I mean, I hate it. Otherwise, you'd have to go to the amp and power it off, and then power it back on if there was a fault to reset the amp. Now you can do it right from the remote. And then I also put in the there's an overvoltage warning. You can look at the 85X, just Google that up. And then a transmit light, which was added too. And then you have an audible alarm you can turn off. So if you have a fault, you're going to see the red light, but you won't hear the alarm. Or if you want the alarm on, then you'll hear the the squealing piezo alarm. And then on this was my own deal here. I can't remember. I don't think 85X had this. I can't remember. But I put another keying loop here. So to get it to key from the remote input right here, if you're going to key the amplifier from here with the RJ45 coming in, you'll have to close this loop back here, otherwise the key's open. So I just have a patch cord, an RCA patch cord in there right now. Again, you would loop that through some type of device that would break the keying in the event you sense high SWR externally, right? The amplifier has all its built-in protection, but you can loop in those keying loops, another device that would be extra protection. Again, like a N8 LP, LP700 in this case. And I'll show you that too, so you get a true reading of the power output. We're not going to rely on those meters there. Okay, so we've gone over the ARI 500, and here's the power supply. And it's a little dusty here. I should wipe that off. It's wired for 220 right now. You can, and this isn't documented, but you can open this up in the power supplies. You can re-jumper them for 110 volts, but it's not really documented anywhere. I had to go digging for that. I would recommend you run it on 220. Just saying. So I also replaced the fan on the back and put in a thermoresistor fan that goes to the heat sinks on one of the power supplies. So as the heat sinks warm up, the fan gets faster, so it's really quiet. So that's nice. So here's the cord coming out with the going into the back of the amp, and the power going up here. This is a mess. Sorry. And so there's my 220 input into the power supply, and the output of the amplifier is going actually through an LP, what's called a 502 coupler, so then it can sample. Well, you'll get to see the waveforms and everything here. I'll just keep it to CW. But I actually have the low power sampling too, so you can see linearity. I'll show you that. So okay, enough of the boring stuff. Let's fire this thing up. So I've got the K3 on now. The K3 is going to send band data, and if you've got the band data set to remote right here, or you can manually select the bands, but I've got it on remote. And so we power it on, and oh, this is another mod I put it. This is the fan mod, so you've got low duty and high duty on the fans, and I'll show you that. And so I'll kick it on, and it checks for over voltage spikes on the two power supplies, and then it comes to life here. And I'm not in operate up here on the remote, so it hasn't linked up with the radio yet. So here on the meters you can check the voltage on both the power supplies. So I got 50 volts there and 50 volts there on both of the power supplies. And I think that's back into reflected. Oh, and the output here I've got going into a Bird. I mean, after the couplers, I'm not going to show you all the cabling, but we're going into a Bird 1000 watt dummy load here. So you'll see right at at a 1-to-1 SWR here. So we're just pumping a little RF into this baby here. So that gives you an idea how big that is. You could key down the radio for a long time and not even warm this baby up. So okay, so the amplifier is on. I'm on CW here on the K3, and we're gonna put it in operate here on the remote. and it'll link up with the K3 and select the band that we're on. We're on 40 meters. You can see that there. Or you can manually change the bands, right? But it's nice automatically following the radio. So on the radio, if I go up to 10 megahertz, then the lights, you know, don't. Let's see here. Okay, there's 18 meters. Back to 40. And I want to make sure I've got the band data coming out of there correct. Okay. Link that up again. Okay, so we're on 40 meters there. If I go down to, there's 80. Oops. And there's 160, 80, 40, 20. Oh, that I was confused. It doesn't show the 17 and 30 meter lights, and that's by design on the automatic band switching. So there's 15 meters, and then it shows 10 for 24 megahertz and 28 megahertz. So that's normal. Threw me off there for a little bit. So I'm going to go back to 40 meters here. If you take it out of remote, then you see all the lights, but you can see you won't hear any relays on 30 meters or 17 meters, right? You know, as you go between 15 and 17 or 40 and 30, or excuse me, 20 and 30. So you don't see those light up with the automatic band switching. So anyway, I'm back. So don't let that worry you there. You only see those lights with the manual selection. Okay, so let's key it up here. I've got 15 watts in, and so you're going to see. So I'm going to key it up with 15 watts, and I guess it's 10 watts on this K3. I have two K3s. So the K3 is showing 10 watts. Up on my LP700, we've got 8 watts coming out there, and now we need to get this keyed up here. Let's make sure it's keying the radio first. I'm not getting the key. I could have messed things up when I pulled off that cable, so let me rehook that up. Okay. Okay, let me fix this, Pete, and I'll get back to you here. Then we might do 2 videos.